Welcome to today's Software AG webcast titled, Testing Makes It or Breaks It, How to Secure Excellence with ARIS Test Designer. Today's webcast will be presented by Joseph Blunders, ARIS Product Marketing, and Dr. Julian Krumijk, ARIS Product Management, both of Software AG. As we move through today's presentation, I invite you to submit any questions that you may have via the Q&A box, which is located in the top right corner of your WebEx dashboard. We will address your questions at the end of today's program. In the event that we're not able to answer your question, your submission will be recorded and today's presenters will be back in touch with you as soon as possible. Additionally, today's presentation is being recorded. This program recording will be made available to you in an email that will be sent to you later this evening. Before I turn today's presentation over to Joseph, I would like to briefly introduce you to Software AG. Software AG helps companies with their digital transformation. With Software AG's digital business platform, companies can better interact with their customers and bring them on new digital journeys, promote unique value propositions, and create new business opportunities. In the Internet of Things market, Software AG enables enterprises to integrate, connect, and manage IoT components, as well as analyze data and predict future events based on artificial intelligence. The digital business platform is built on decades of uncompromising software development, IT experience, and technological leadership. Software AG has more than 4,500 employees, is active in 70 countries, and had revenues of €872 million in 2016. It is now my pleasure to welcome Joseph Blunders.
Yes, thanks, Will, for the introduction, and welcome to my side too, to do this webinar. So today's topic is testing, and we'll show you how, why testing makes it or breaks it, and how to secure excellence with ARIS Test Designer. So today, commonly with Julian Krumijk, we will be your host and lead you through the webinar. So before we go through the details, I can click. So before we go through in the testing area, I really like to introduce and to put the topic into context first. So today we are taking a deep dive into ARIS, which is the leading tool for process transformation and management, as well as governance, risk, and compliance. I'm sure you know, but I remember you, it's available on-premise and in the cloud. So, and ARIS brings excellence at work in everything you do. So it helps you to transform your business with best-in-class design tools. It will help you to manage your future with best-in-class operation, and it will help you to measure success with best-in-class analytics tool. So in here, testing really supports the transformation and management part. Now going into the testing and to the agenda of today, I'll now go through to the testing as a major project blunder in reality, and then Julian will take over with a deep dive into the ARIS Test Designer. He will also do a short demo, and at the end I will conclude and start the Q&A session with you. So, well, it's obvious. Testing is a major pain point in IT projects. I'm sure you know about it. So especially test coverage is #1 pain point. So not being prepared for all possible test paths brings really insecurity in your business, and you can't be sure that the system will be working as expected. So indeed, over 86% of the customers are concerned about risk, but at the same time, funnily, testing complexity and the schedule for testing is mostly underestimated. That's interesting fact. So, and further, I said before, testing is not only important for IT, but is also important for transformation for business processes. So if you introduce new processes, new procedures in your company, and you don't make sure they're working smoothly, then you risk to fail in your transformation, you risk to have a lack of quality in your end-to-end process, to have unhappy customer, and so on and so on. So really, testing should be considered in everything you do, and not only in the IT projects. And to put it in a nutshell, bad testing costs are really much higher than you expect. So it will cost you time, really time and money in your daily business, as your processes and your IT may be really error prone and make people lose time if you haven't done the right testing before. The quality of the product may also suffer from bad testing, which may lead to bad customer satisfaction and much more. And it's not about customer satisfaction, yeah, and much more. It's not a placeholder really here. It's really you have much more risk with bad testing because it can bring frustrated employees. They don't like the system, they don't use the system, they don't do the right thing. You can have problems with your customer that they are turning their backs to your company, and that will, in the end, that will depreciate the value of your business finally. But the good news, there are good news today, is that good testing benefits you much higher. So if you plan enough time for your testing, if you plan to do it right, it will in the end reduce your implementation times. Does that sound strange for you? I don't know. But well, it is. For example, make sure you do not have to postpone the go live because of fatal issues. If you do bad testing, sometimes you need to postpone the go live, you need to rework the processes, and you don't have to do that if you work normally and if you work with good testing at the beginning. So, and you will have also happy customers. That will be the reward of your high quality processes in the end, and that will deliver great products, great services to the customer so that they are happy. So that's exactly the baseline for customer experience management, which we all look at today. Your applications in the end, they will be working very smoothly and exactly how business needs. And all in all, that will lead to successful transformation and basically to successful business. And I'm sure that's what you want to have. And one final introduction slide from my part, just to put the test design into context here. So as said before, we are talking about ARIS, transformation and management, which is really offering everything you need around transformation and the management of processes. So it's reaching from the design of processes, from the publishing of processes, the collaboration over processes, dashboarding, of course, but indeed also part of that is the topic of the test design. And now I would like to hand over to Julian, my colleague, who will show you the ARIS, how the ARIS test designer secures your excellence.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph, for the general introduction on testing. And now it's my pleasure to present to you what you can achieve with our ARIS test designer. So that's basically the second part on our agenda. So I will briefly show to you what is the test designer, how does it work, and then I will also give you a demo on the live system where you can have an impression on how ARIS test designer looks and fields. Okay, so as already mentioned by Joseph, if you are not following a so-called process-oriented test management, you risk certain failures. So one primary failure could be that you have an incomplete test coverage, for example. If you just do, let's say, functional tests, etc., you have always the risk that you leave out important steps in the testing that are required if you do a test from an end-to-end business process perspective. So how does it work? How does the test designer realizes a process-driven testing? So of course, the baseline are your processes. So if you have them already in your ARIS repository, so for example, if you are modeling your SAP processes in ARIS and then hand them over to SAP into the Solution Manager, then you can take this as the foundation for your process-oriented test conception. So that helps you, first of all, to really reuse the business process knowledge that has been created by the business. So you really make sure that business is the owner of your test conception. And the knowledge of the business is completely handed over to the IT department, who are then doing the testing. So you start with your processes, you conceptualize the tests from a process-driven point of view, and then you can transfer those test information into systems such as the SAP Test Suite, or also to other tools like the PHP Application Lifecycle Management. And moreover, you can also automatically generate so-called test documents where you can find all the information for the testing in a comprehensive PDF format, which is automatically created by ARIS. So how does ARIS Test Designer helps you in creating end-to-end tests? First of all, we offer you a test path recording, which is really based on the processes that you have designed in ARIS, that is easy, fast, and flexible in the same time. We also allow you to intuitively capturing multiple test variants, so you can really depict all the different test paths in the test designer, either manually or automatically. So the test designer also features a so-called automatic test path creation procedure, which helps you to gather all the different branches and each single process execution variant in your process as a test. So that's also something which I will show to you later in the demo. Then, very important, if you are testing SAP processes, we have a direct synchronization to the SAP Solution Manager, both in the old world and the 7.1, but also already with the new Solution Manager 7.2. And when you have synchronized all the testing information from ARIS into the Solution Manager, you can then reuse this important knowledge in SAP's test suite or other test tools as well. So how does it work in a more detailed manner? So first of all, you have in ARIS your processes, and these are, as I mentioned, the baseline for your test case conception. You synchronize then, for example, those test cases to the Solution Manager of SAP, and from there you can transfer it into the test suite. What is also important, and what I mentioned before, is you can automatically create test cases and descriptions, which can have, for example, a PDF format, and you can map those test descriptions automatically to your processes so that you have them completely attached to your repository. What you can also do, you can export your test cases and then import them in tools such as HP HLM. And then, of course, you can have all the flexibility that a testing tool provides to you in terms of data exchange and providing the test results to other systems. So how does a perfect process-oriented test cycle looks like? First of all, finalize your business process design, because that's really the cornerstone of your testing from a process-oriented point of view. Then you create your test project in ARIS. You then define as a third step your test paths, and then you can create, with the help of the ARIS Test Designer, the test case documents, which will then be assigned to the processes. And then, last but not least, you can export the test project to your testing tool. And then, of course, don't forget to do the actual testing, for sure. And how this cycle looks like in reality, that's something which I will now show you live on the system. So let me share my screen to you. What you can now see is the ARIS Architect. So that's the expert tool for our process-driven tester. And I would like to test, for example, the sales order management. So I have here the sales order management designed as a value chain diagram. That's pretty straightforward. So you start, for example, with the quotation processing in either the ERP system or in an online processing system. Then you do a contract processing in the ERP system. And then as the last step, you do the sales order processing. And I will cover all this process with the ARIS Test Designer. And not only on this level of the value-added chain diagram, of course, also one level deeper in my EPC model, where I have all the different branches that I have to follow also in my test design. So how does it work? I first of all start by creating a new test project. I can have here, or I have here the possibility to choose either by a user-definable test project. So here I have really the full flexibility that I need in defining my tests. But I can also choose here standard and SAP conformant types of my test projects. So both for Solution Manager 7.1, but also Solution Manager 7.2. So I choose here, for example, the type Solution Manager 7.2. And now I can give the test project a name, say test project for webinar. And the second step is I select the corresponding branch in my Solution Manager environment. So in my system, I only have one available. And then I click Finish to actually create this test project. Then the test designer creates this test project and also switches to another user interface. So what you can see here is already the test designer. So it's completely built into ARIS. And then I create here as a new step, for example, a new scenario or a new test object. Then, as you might still know, I would like to create for my sales order management, so for the value added chain diagram that I showed to you before, all possible test files. So for that, I just drag and drop this value added chain diagram here to my test object and have ARIS Test Designer generate all the test parts automatically. Of course, for the simple value added chain diagram, that's pretty easy. So basically, there are only two different process streams. So one starting with the online quotation processing, and the second one, which starts already with our ERP system, and of course with the customer qualification beforehand. So I can see here two different test cases, and I can select which ones I would like to choose. In my case, I will select both of them, and then I click on Finish. So what I have done now is I have created two different high-level test scenarios. So the one, as I mentioned, starting with the contract processing in the ERP system, and the other one with the quotation processing in the ERP system. Now I would like to go one level deeper, meaning that I will also create all the test passes that are available in the EPC model itself. So for this, I can select here, for example, in this test project or this test object, let's say it that way, the corresponding EPC model, or also other process notations that you're using, for example, business process modeling and notation. If I'm here in the SAP area, I have a pretty easy functionality. I just have to click here on select the test model, and then the test designer lists all the corresponding processes that are available for this specific test object. And not only this, it also gives me the indication what kind of process I should, or which one belongs to the project and the test object that I have selected. So if I have here different naming, for example, I have it pretty easy to find this correlation. So here, as it is indicated by yes, I select the sales order processing, and then I can create the test passes. What I'm doing now is the manual test pass construction. So what you can see here on the right-hand side is the EPC model, and now I can flexibly click through that model and choose for each of the functions which transaction I would like to select for the testing. So here, for example, for the check sales contract and documents, I select the VA23. Then I have again the possibility in my test pass recording, if I do the simple pass here, all the sales contract and documentation is completed, or if something is missing. If something is missing, and I need to check this, I then of course need to also include here a transaction which helps me to do that. And by this, I can easily click here through the overall process and create my test project and my test passes as I would like to do. So as you can see here by the red color, I start at the beginning of my process and end at the end. So one straight process pass. and this represents my test project. You can also see here the different steps. I could also add here now another test parse. So as you can see here, there are already quite a lot of possibilities. So for each of the XORs, I have different paths available. And whenever I finish, I can confirm that to the system, and then I have these test passes created and saved in ARIS, which you can see here. I can then also display the test path again, which is opened here in my image processing tool. I can then use that in other documents as well. But what I can also do is I can automatically create a test document. So especially for this, I open it again, for this test path that I have just created. So for this, I start the evaluation by ARIS Test Designer. I choose here Generate Test Case Description, and then the ARIS report starts. I have here quite a lot of options. For example, I can choose what kind of information should be implemented in the test description. I can, for example, say, okay, what kind of attributes which I have modeled in my ARIS process should be retrieved and put into the generated test case description document. And when I have finished this selection here, everything is done automatically by ARIS Test Designer. And of course, it will be automatically linked to the process itself. So to show you this, I just right-click here on my process for which I have created this test document. I choose Assignment and the function allocation diagram. And here what you can see, the sales order processing, this is the test path that I have just created, and there is also the test document that was automatically created by the test designer. If I want to view that, I can go here, for example, to the attributes and open this documentation. And what you can see here, this is the automatically created PDF, starting with the description of the test path. So here the test path is highlighted in red, and then on the next slides, you see all the details of the test path. So each function which should be checked, also which screen has been selected by my transaction scoping process, what is the result that I'm expecting, who is actually doing this process step, and all those kind of information which I have previously selected in my report. And with this information, I can then upload all this information also to, for example, to the Solution Manager. So this is done by just clicking one button, and then automatically everything is uploaded to Solution Manager. What I will show you now is also, again, the automatic creation of test paths. So what I have done before was this manual creation of one test path, as you can see here. But as I have shown at the beginning for the value chain diagram, I can do the same here for my EPC as well. For this, I just click and drop and say generate test parses. And then, as you can see, ARIS automatically generates all possible test parses that are possible for this underlying process. So for this example, we have 12 as a number. I can also go here through all of these test parses, and then at the end I can select the ones I am interested in. Just click Finish, and there you are. I have selected them and created them in my test project. It takes quite a while because we are creating all those test objects, because that's important to have for our upload to Solution Manager, for example. And then, last but not least, of course, you can also generate an extended XML report, which can then be used, as I mentioned at the beginning, in other testing tools such as the HP, ALM, or other testing tools which are able to consume our XML export file. So this was a very short demo, and I think I can Now, let me go back to my WebEx system. I just summarize again what we have seen in the demo. So first of all, I just created a different test path based on the processes that have been defined and designed in ARIS. So again, this is really the baseline and really the cornerstone of any process-oriented testing. Then what I have shown is here both ways, the manual as well as the automatic creation of test paths, and then also what you can do in terms of the generation of test documents. Yeah, and having said this, I will hand over to Joseph again.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Julian, for your very detailed presentation. So now I would like basically to summarize quickly the Test Designer functionality and its benefits for you. So if we look at what Julian showed to us before, we can summarize that in some main blocks about the testing. So basically the ARIS Test Designer supports process-oriented tests with a fast and process-based test conception within the tool, yeah? And this test conception is really supported. It helps you for your test case generation, whether it's graphically or it's guided, so that you can create it easily and a little bit faster. And next is the automatic test generation. So really this will save you time because it will generate all possible test paths and helps you and supports you to select the real needed test paths that you want to test. Going over to the test case creation, it supports real testing because it gives you the possibility to create automatically these test case documents, which include the graphics, so it supports the end users, and which are also assigned, Julian mentioned that, assigned to the processes so that the end user and the tester at the end know I need to test this one and I need to use this test data and that, yeah? To secure your success, basically, the Test Designer is right because it really supports you to keep the company processes and the test cases basically in sync. So it always connects, especially with the automatic update functionality. So where you can update outdated test paths and rename them automatically, because as processes will change all the time, it will be important for you to test and test again and to update all of that. So that was for the functional summary. If we now look at the benefits after this webinar, I guess and hope that you can see the main benefits of ARIS Test Designer. It's easy and intuitive and it's process oriented. I guess we've said that enough time here. And basically it will accelerate your release cycle times because you are able to reuse the process data that you've designed before, and it will secure a fast test case conception, and fast and a good test case conception, which is important too. It will support also you in mitigating the risk in some critical system implementation because you will be based on comprehensive and high quality test conception. And it's not only about risk, it's also about compliance because you've got the possibility to export your test cases directly in Excel, for example, for dedicated and specific industry requirements such as pharmaceuticals in the end. And last but not least, it will really increase the end user acceptance because they will feel included and really responsible for the processes and the test. And saying that, I have a final information for you. So, of course, there are companies, other companies around setting on ARIS to do their conception of their tests. And that Deutsche Telekom is one of our first Test Designer customers. They even co-implemented basically the tool with us. Basically, they use that in an accounting optimization and standardization project, yeah. So, and they started to use ARIS Test Designer to for process-oriented testing, yeah, for graphical process-oriented testing, and based on that, they really had some time savings and really also quality enhancement on the process. So, and they say the automated preparation of the test cases that are then synced. That's what Julian showed before, that are then synced with the SAP Solution Manager, more exactly the test workbench, was really useful and helped them to save time. And also the creation of these test case documents and paths via reports in ARIS really saved them a lot of time. And as I said before, the end user acceptance has grown also in their place, and they really state as one of the main value for their project is really the end user acceptance, as the end user really, while creating the test cases by themselves, they felt really better included in the project, and basically that they could drive change and quality basically in their own business areas. So, and now that's it from my part. So basically, we've come to an end from our side, and that's now time for the Q&A session that Will lead, I think.
Hi. Okay, Joseph. Thank you.
Oh.
First question, let's get to it. This came in, I think, Julian, as Julian began his demo. Are there no exception negative cases generated? A very simple question.
Maybe I can see the question.
The question is, are there no exception negative cases generated?
So negative. So maybe you can give them more details. So the question is, for me, it's not that clear.
Yeah, it's not that clear. We can come back to it. The next one I have, what happens if the EPCs that we want to test have semantic errors? Will testing still be possible? What are the risks?
Yeah, so of course the testing will be possible from a technical point of view. So you can, of course, create then the test passes, at least if you have a connected process flow. So the test designer will not ensure that all the tests that you generate are error-free. So that's something which you have to ensure already during your process design phase. But nevertheless, ARIS offers you already some semantic checking options where you can check your, let's say, EPC or BPMN model for semantic errors. And after you have come to the end that everything is more or less error-free, then I think it's the time to start the test pass capturing, and then of course in the next step the synchronization to other testing tools.
Okay. Next one. We do have semantic rule checks as well as tests structurally. Can this be called a functional driven test approach?
Do you have semantic checks in a sense of the... What do you mean?
The question says, we do have semantic rule checks as well as tests structurally. Can this be called a functional driven test approach?
It could be called a functional driven test approach, but that's also something which is then, is it related to, let's say, the semantic checks in ARIS, or is it the semantic checks that you later do in your actually implemented system? So that's not that clear for me from the question, unfortunately.
Okay, we can go back to this questioner offline. Another one I have, we are currently investigating SAP Solman 7.2 test management functionality. What would be the benefit of using ARIS Test Designer instead of syncing the ARIS models into SAP Solman and do the test management there?
Yeah. So what a SAP Solution Manager doesn't offer is exactly the creation of these test parsers. So you can, of course, synchronize your models from ARIS to Solution Manager, but then you have all the different branches that are available in your processes still there, and you don't have a pre-configured test path or something like that. So that's exactly the task of the test designer. Based on all the different branches that are imaginable from your processes, the test designer automatically creates all those separately as individual test paths.
Okay. Is Test Designer available in the cloud?
Yes, it is. So it can be used both on premise, but also in the cloud. So that's as it is a standard functionality in ARIS, where we have our cloud offering. So that's of course also available there.
What other products do I need for test design?
For the test design, basically it is ARIS, of course, where you model your processes. Then, of course, the ARIS test designer, I think that's really the cornerstone then. And then it's up to you. So which kind of testing tool you are using for your functional test, for your system tests, etc. So we offer here standard integration with the SAP environment. We also have a partnership with, as I mentioned, with HP for their testing tool. But if you need any other testing tool, I think we also offer a standard API where you can extract all the information out also directly from ARIS. So there are plenty of possibilities how you can realize or can make use of the test paths that you have created in ARIS in your testing systems.
Okay, that's the questions we have at this point. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite everyone on today's program to register for the subsequent programs in this 2018 ARIS 10 webcast series. On the first Thursday of each month, we'll be presenting a new ARIS-related topic where one of our product experts will dive deeper into the various ARIS offerings and how they can contribute to your digital transformation. For March, we're actually going to have a second program. That program is scheduled for March 15th at 2 p.m. CET. That program is titled Why Now is the Time? Moving from ARIS Publisher to ARIS Connect in 2018. That program will be presented by Dr. Dominic Vanderhagen, Director, ARIS Product Management at Software AG. Please visit our event section under the company tab at softwareag.com for program registration information. Joseph and Julian, thank you very much for your time and your presentation today. With that, our program has ended. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot for everyone to join. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.